This podcast is a member of the King of Wrestling Radio. Go to kowradio.weebly.com for more.
That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 30 for today, Monday, August 17th, 2015. I'm your host, Dave Brown. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out each and every week here on the Around the Ring website, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. You can also hear us on Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, and on Tuesday nights, right after Tough Enough, you can check us out on the Kings of Wrestling Radio, kowradio.weebly.com. And you can also hear us on the Spark Radio Network and K98 Talk. All those great places you can check out the show. Thank you very much for doing so. This week, we're going to do some SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn predictions. We've also got a new feature. Last week, after I did my album review of the new Frank Turner record, which I kind of enjoyed doing on this show. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge music junkie, just obsessed with different types with the kind of music that I love. I do actually another podcast 3 times a week, a music podcast. It's called K98X, The Fringe Podcast. You can check that out. Just Google K98X. We don't have any websites or anything for that other than, Twitter and Facebook and all that good jazz. But I decided after doing that, I enjoyed that little segment. So each and every week, I'm going to do a song of the week. We're going to talk about a song in a band, a little bit about its release, and then play about 30 seconds of it, enough that I don't get in trouble from the FCC folks and the folks that run or pay the bills for this place that where I host this show don't get pissed off at me or get them in trouble or me in trouble. So we got all that and. Plus some other great stuff to talk about this week. It was kind of a slow week overall, I think, wrestling-wise. There were a few stories here and there that we're going to jump into, talk about the week's programs and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get right into it. It's going to be a pretty WWE heavy this week, as unfortunately with Lucha Underground going away, that pretty much leaves me with WWE programming and Ring of Honor. I did watch one, or tried to watch, I should say. AAA's Triplemania 23 happened recently. I don't know the exact date. And I noticed it on the website where I go to watch most of my shows. But we won't talk about that. And I watched some of it, and it was so different. It was kind of hard for me to get into. For one, I absolutely hate the six-sided ring. I cannot stand the six-sided ring. Also, they were having some audio problems, so the audio sounded like crap. They did have Matt Stryker on commentary with another dude whose name I can't remember. Matt Stryker did a great job. And what was kind of nice is there was, from the parts I watched, and I kind of fast-forwarded through and stopped whenever I got to people that I knew, most of whom I knew from Lucha Underground. And there was a lot of talk of Lucha Underground, which was cool. The other thing I noticed is in some of the little video packages they used, especially the one for Brian Cage, they used the same thing that had been produced for Lucha Underground, another kind of show that Lucha Underground and AAA are in tight with each other. It definitely made me want to watch more of AAA, and I've heard there's a rumor going around that AAA may be getting a show in the United States, and if that's the case, I would totally watch it. The main thing I felt when watching this is I felt like I really didn't know what was going on or who most of the people were. I was happy to see guys like Angelico and Pentagon Jr. and whatnot, but then you've got this main event, which was Rey Mysterio Jr. versus I think it's the original Sin Cara. I know him as Mystico, but that's kind of not the name he's going by now. But it was the first Sin Cara, and then there was a heel turn at the end, and Conan was out, and I really honestly had no bloody idea what the hell was going on. It's nice seeing Ray in action, but that poor guy, he's so beaten to shit that I don't know how he's still going. But my overall impression is the set looked great. They had this really cool entrance area. They put a lot of money, obviously, into their production value. Some of the pans of the crowd early on showed a lot of empty seats, which was kind of, wasn't really good. A lot of times you have to, when you're doing this production of these shows, if your crowd is not full, you don't pan across those sections. In fact, I remember back in the mid-90s, I went to a Monday Night Raw taping with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and her little brother, and it was a show. Shawn Michaels was there. I think this was pre-Busted Back. This was pre-Attitude Era, very beginning of that. The Road Warriors were there. Maybe Bret Hart. It was a pretty forgettable show, but the place was not that packed. And then I remember watching it on TV, and they made it look like it was a full house, and it was not by any stretch of the means. So there are ways to do that to give the impression that the place has more people in it than it does. And is that a little dishonest? Maybe, but it gives you, it definitely makes you, as someone watching it, more invested in that. And there were, speaking of shows, there were some recent Ring of Honor shows where the crowd at the Terminal 5 in New York City, you could tell it wasn't that packed for that particular show, and it did kind of detract a little bit from the show. But yeah, overall, I mean, the AAA show was kind of cool. Again, I hated the ring, but it made me want to watch more of it. So I'm hoping that AAA will get a TV deal in the United States. That would be fantastic. Lucha Underground Season 2, according to the I guess executive producer, one of the main guys, is probably 99.99% going to happen. They're just still trying to work out a few money things. So that's a positive sign. I mean, Lucha Underground is, I think, week to week has been by far my favorite wrestling show, and the fact that it's been gone has sucked. And admittedly, I was I was way more in a music mood this week than a wrestling mood. And I'm sure some of that had to do with the fact that Lucha Underground wasn't around. But lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, AAA. If AAA could get something going on, that would be great. I would love to see more of what they've got. Matt Stryker as an announcer is really good. I really enjoyed his work at Lucha Underground. I enjoyed what I heard of him on this Triplemania. So hopefully they'll get a show. I would love for them to get a show. I'd love for New Japan to expand their show to an actual current product of what's going on. I don't watch it because it's stuff that's a year old, and I'd rather watch what's happening in New Japan right now. So that's that. Let's go ahead and jump into Ring of Honor. Another really good episode of Ring of Honor. The one thing you can say about Ring of Honor each and every week, it's not the flashiest show in the world, but if you want a show with really freaking good wrestling each and every week, Ring of Honor is your show. The show opened up with Watanabe against ACH. It was a fun little back and forth match. ACH did a really great flip thing on the outside of the ring. I guess he was about to be thrown into the ring post, and he did that whole run up the wall flip thing, and it just looked awesome. ACH got the win. Really good match. In a way, I'm surprised ACH isn't higher in the card or hasn't been snatched up by WWE, because this guy is freaking awesome. Next match was House of Truth with Donovan Dijak and Jay Diesel, or as the crowd likes to call him, Baby Tista, because he does look like a short Batista, versus War Machine. Jay Lethal was on commentary. Jay Lethal is fantastic. Just got to say that. Good match. War Machine got the win. Wasn't fantastic, wasn't horrible. At the end of the match, there was a really good exchange between Hanson and Lethal. Hanson has a shot at the television title coming up soon, and there was some pretty good words back and forth. And Jay Lethal is, in a lot of ways, he's the modern-day Ric Flair. He is that freaking good. And again, you see some of these guys, you ask the question, why did WWE not hire these people? He's another one. Why? That was good. We then had Adam Page against some scrub named Tim Hughes. It was a squash match. BJ Whitmer, who I cannot stand, got in the ring for an in-ring promo. Then Adam Page goes on this tirade about how he's awesome. He calls out Jay Briscoe, who isn't there. Whitmer, of course, gets in King Carino's face because he hates Steve Carino for whatever reason. And it gets pretty intense before Niles McGuinness comes out, takes Carino away, makes everyone leave the ring, and that leaves his name, Kevin Kelly, alone on commentary for the main event, which is The Kingdom, Michael Bennett and Matt Taven with Maria Kanellis versus Red Dragon. Adam Cole came out to join them on commentary. He came out right after the match started, and The Kingdom people just staring him down. And throughout the match, Cole was great on commentary. Adam Cole is a hell of a talent. Again, why isn't he in WWE? Because he's that freaking good. And he kept talking like a babyface. And he's really good in that he's one of these guys that knows the subtle differences between being a heel and a babyface. And he's just excellent at it. The Kingdom won. At one point, the Kingdom hit Kyle O'Reilly with a spike pile driver on the outside of the ring, and they came back in the ring. And at one point, Michael Bennett was laying kind of on the ring apron over by where the commentary table is. Michael Cole kept saying to him, "Was that really necessary on the floor? Was that really necessary?" They hit Bobby Fish with a spike pile driver for the win. They were going to go do the spike pile driver again, and then Michael Cole jumps in the ring and stops it and says, "Look, you guys won. What's the point of this?" And the Kingdom leave the ring without Adam Cole. Tensions abound. Great freaking match. In a lot of ways, Ring of Honor is kind of this throwback to the way wrestling used to be, and in many ways the way it should be. Michael Bennett and Matt Taven are this just classic heel tag team, and Matt Taven is just a hair metal throwback. It's hilarious. He's such a douche, and his freaking headband and that curly ass long hair that he has, it's awful, but it's also kind of awesome. So another great program. I'm not sure what's coming up next week. But I'm looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun. Ring of Honor, I look forward to Ring of Honor every week. And now that Lucha Underground is gone, if I'm thinking about the shows I watched this week, which this week I hit Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Ring of Honor, and I'm not counting Triplemania because I really didn't watch it all the way through, but Ring of Honor was the best show of the week, I think. It was my favorite. And let's go ahead and jump into... you guys want me to do NXT or main roster WWE? Let's do NXT. Alright, so real quick, before we get into NXT this week, Finn Balor was on some show and stated the following, and I quote, "What we're doing at NXT right now is groundbreaking. It's revolutionary. For me, it's like a renaissance period in wrestling, and I want to be involved in NXT. I don't want to go to the quote-unquote main roster. I don't want to get called up, so to speak, because I believe we at NXT are building something together that is going to be looked back at in 10 years the same way that we looked back on the ECW period as being revolutionary at that time. And this is something that I want to be involved in." Finn Balor has talked before about his love of NXT, not wanting to go to the main roster, and I think this is a great quote. And he also, in an interview recently with Michael Cole, just talked up the product, and that's not done enough, and I think that's why he's such a great steward for the product and for wrestling in general. I mean, sure, he's not always the most charismatic talker in the world, but let's face it, he is incredible in the ring, and he's gorgeous. So we can't really ask for a whole lot more. NXT started this week with a William Regal backstage interview that apparently was from last week. He went ahead and set the Finn Balor-Kevin Owens match at TakeOver to be a ladder match. So looking forward to that. First match of this week was Solomon Crowe against Ty Dillinger. I think Crowe got new music and it kind of blows. And Ty Dillinger is now doing the Perfect 10 as a gimmick. Which was, it's Ty Dillinger's one of those guys. He's a good-looking dude. He's in great shape. He can move in the ring. He's just has been missing something. Maybe this will work because it was kind of annoying. One thing I also noticed during this match is it seemed like, and I don't know if it's the way they film things differently, but they seem to have added some more seats in the NXT arena. And I'm not sure if I like that or not. I mean, I'm glad that more people are going and whatnot, but yeah. This whole 10 thing that Dillinger's doing, it's pretty stupid actually, but it's kind of unintentionally funny, which I think is going to help him get over. And that's a good thing, because the poor guy's career has languished. Dillinger won with some kind of knee to the face thing. He pulled down his knee pad, grabbed Crowe's head, put it on his knee, and fell backwards. That's the best way I can explain it. I guess. I mean, sure, why not? I'm sure it would hurt like hell. So that's it. Solomon Crowe, man, this poor guy. He apparently had a pretty good indie career, had a following, was signed to NXT, was in the pre-NXT developmental for a long time. And he has just not worked. I think he has been the first real indie guy that they have pulled in, the first kind of semi-major indie guy that has just gone nowhere. And it's sad. I would like to see something better out of the guy. Maybe he needs different ring time. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just hard to take the poor dude seriously. It's pretty bad when I would rather watch what they're doing with Bull Dempsey right now than what they're doing with Solomon Crowe. That's all I'm saying. We then had a backstage or outside thing with Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder. Can these two jackasses please go away? That's all I gotta say. We then had Baron Corbin against some scrub. There were boring chants, and it was relatively boring. Corbin, again, I say this every single week, Corbin needs longer matches. After the match, he got on the mic, started talking trash. Jobber Steve Cutler ran out to, I don't know what he was trying to do. He got hit with the end of days. And then Samoa Joe came out. The crowd goes nuts. Samoa Joe lays down a challenge to Corbin. Corbin's like, I just fought two guys. And it's funny, Corbin's been playing I'm this badass man who's no one can touch me, and then as soon as he gets a decent challenge, he's like, whoa, wait a minute, buddy, not right now, I just fought two fools. So he's kind of doing that whole bully angle thing, and I think that could work. So Corbin says, we're not fighting tonight. He goes to leave. As he leaves, he checks Joe's shoulder. They brawl. And Joe eventually gets him in. I think isn't it called the Coquina Clutch? No, it's not that. That's the move that Brock Lesnar uses, or that I forget who uses it. Shit, I'm now sounding ignorant. He gets him in it's a version of the sleeper, and he just knocks Corbin out. It's boom, done. And that's setting up a match at TakeOver Brooklyn. And we're going to go over my predictions for that here in just a minute. Next up, we had a Bull Dempsey training vignette. I love this, man. I now actually really enjoy watching Bull Dempsey, who I hated before. We got Tyler Breeze backstage phone video promo thing talking about Jushin Thunder Liger. I'm looking forward to that match. This match is going to be awesome. We then have Marcus Louis against Finn Balor. So here's the thing. Marcus Louis was just this guy who was teaming with that other French idiot. He had hair, and he was there. He didn't talk a whole lot. And then he had this match. It was Sylvester Lefort. So Lefort had a match against Enzo Amore. It was a hair versus hair match. Lefort lost, ran away, would not let his hair be cut. And then eventually they poured this hair removal stuff onto Marcus Louis instead. And after that, he kind of freaked out and snapped. Well, he's still snapping. His head is still shaved. And it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. He was never insane before that. And now he's acting insane and he dresses like Kane. So it's insane baby Kane. He went insane. He's got no brain. It's awful. Finn Balor won pretty easily. And, Marcus Louis is pretty freaking terrible. Just got to say that. He is pretty freaking terrible. After the match, Kevin Owens attacked Balor. A good little brawl. Eventually, Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb. Again, this is setting up for TakeOver. We then had the Vaudevillains in the backstage interview. They said they have something to take care of Alexa Bliss. Bliss comes out and says, "Oh, you have something to take care of little old me," and then slaps them. Alexa Bliss has really, really found her niche as a bitchy, like prom queen, head cheerleader heel. It's just great. She does a great job at it, and she looks the part. We then had an Apollo Crews vignette. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Uhaa Nation does. Mr. Apollo Crews should be great. So then we get the whole TakeOver official song. Why does TakeOver need an official song? Why? I just don't get that. Stop trying to make NXT WWE like the WWE. Have its own format. Let it do its own thing. Just stop it, WWE. Stop. Right now. They had a video thing where they laid out the matches for TakeOver, and honestly, it looks way too much like the things they do for WWE pay-per-views. I really wish they wouldn't do that. We then have our main event, Bayley versus Becky Lynch in the number one contenders match. Sasha Banks comes out in commentary. Becky Lynch is super over. Crowd at one point was chanting her entrance music. Then Rich, one of the commentators, Rich, whose last name I can't remember, trying to ask Sasha a question about, how she feel about going to the show in New York City, being that she's from Boston. She just responds with, "Shut up, Rich." It was brilliant. I laughed so hard. Sasha Banks is fantastic. She talked up all the divas. She did a great job in commentary. Bayley got the win. It was a really good match. And, it's Bayley and Becky Lynch. What do you expect? These girls all kick ass. And I saw this question posted online. Someone asked, is Becky going to be the only member of the Four Horsewomen that does not get an NXT title run? And that's a really good question. And for those of you who might not know, the Four Horsewomen are Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bayley. I still think it would have been best to bring them up as a cohesive unit to the main roster, just to tear through everything. It would have been fantastic to do that. But I'm enjoying what they're doing on the main roster with the ladies. We'll get to that later. So let's go into TakeOver Brooklyn predictions. This is going to happen the night before SummerSlam. So it's on a Saturday night, which is weird. But we'll see what happens. We're going to have Apollo Crews against who knows what. Apollo Crews is going to win that match. Oh, and this is as of right now. I'm not sure if Wednesday they're going to add any more matches, but by the time we do the show next week, SummerSlam and TakeOver Brooklyn will have passed. So we're just going to do predictions on what we know as of right now. Samoa Joe against Baron Corbin. I'm going with Samoa Joe. I think this is going to be the beginning of a program between Joe and Corbin. And Corbin needs it. He needs a long program against a seasoned veteran who can make him A, look good, and B, get better. So I think Joe gets the first win, and that's going to set up. Corbin's going to just freak out, attack him after the fact or backstage or something and scream, "This isn't over." I'm actually looking forward to that more than I probably should. We then have Jushin Thunder Liger versus Tyler Breeze. Jushin Thunder Liger making his first and probably only appearance in WWE, albeit in NXT. For those of you who don't know, Jushin Thunder Liger comes from Japan. He's been in New Japan, many places over the years. He was a big part of WCW's Cruiserweight division, the same division that gave us Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr., Chris Jericho. I think Benoit kind of was a part of that in a little bit. Brian Pillman was in there. So he was part of all of that. And that's where I really know him from. He's like 50-something years old, still going at it. And this should be a fan-fucking-tastic match. I'm really looking forward to it. So this one's hard to pick. I mean, on the one hand, I think Tyler Breeze is going to get the win. It's going because this is a great way to really help push Tyler Breeze over the top. But I could also see this being his only match in WWE, Liger getting the win, especially if they're able to keep him around. Maybe he could do a program with Breeze. If this is a one and done, you almost hate to think of the guy coming in and doing a job, just one-time thing, but who knows? Either way, I mean, my gut thinks Breeze is going to win, but this one could go either way. All I know is I'm really looking forward to watching it. We then have the women's title, Bayley versus Sasha Banks. This is going to be a freaking killer match. I think Bayley's going to win. Sasha Banks is now on the main roster, so eventually they have to get the title off of her. Bayley is more than deserving of it. She is freaking great. She is the just absolute perfect babyface. She and Sami Zayn are just the two just absolute perfect babyfaces I think that we've ever seen in pro wrestling. And yeah, I think she's going to win. Then we've got the Vaudevillains versus Blake and Murphy with Alexa Bliss for the tag titles. This one, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, this could go either way. The Vaudevillains have been around for a while, and they've come really close to winning the tag titles, but they haven't won. Blake and Murphy are really coming into their own, especially with the addition of Alexa Bliss and them being these, dickhead jock heels. I think it works really well. Solid Monster theorized that the Vaudevillains are going to bring in Blue Pants to try to be the counter to Alexa Bliss. That could be cool. If I'm going to have to pick one, I'm going to say Blake and Murphy, just because this could be the kind of real beginning of a program with these two. We can have a longer feud that eventually pays off with the Vaudevillains winning. We then have the main event, Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor for the NXT title in a ladder match. I think Finn Balor is going to win this. There's been rumors that Kevin Owens is going to win. There have even been some spoilers of him, pictures of him coming to the ring from other tapings holding the NXT title. I think maybe he loses, freaks out, and steals the belt from Balor and leaves with it. I could see that happening. Really, Owens is now a main roster guy, and he's going to have a big weekend. The next day, as long as he doesn't get himself too effed up in this ladder match, he's got a match against Cesaro at SummerSlam. and he's doing this program with Cesaro. It's a program I'm enjoying the hell out of. So he's really now a main roster guy, and so it really doesn't make any sense to make him the first 2-time NXT champion. Let's keep it on Balor. Let's actually have Balor be a long-time champion, and I think the guy he needs to eventually lose it to is Hideo Itami. Wait for Itami to come back from injury. Itami can feud with whoever they set up as the guy who hurt him. And they could even make it Balor, though I don't think that's a good idea. I think you need to keep Balor as a babyface. So Itami could go have his feud with whoever hurt him, put him out of action, and then he challenges Balor for the title. And that could be just fantastic. I would love to watch that. So that is TakeOver Brooklyn. The biggest letdown from this card is the fact that Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore are not on it. You would have thought that Cass and Enzo would have been the ones in the tag match to win the titles in freaking Brooklyn, because they're already so over, and a Brooklyn crowd's going to go just absolute apeshit for them. But then there are all these rumors that they might be hitting the main roster. So who knows? I mean, maybe SummerSlam, probably not SummerSlam, maybe the day after SummerSlam, which will also be in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, they're going to come out and make their main roster debut. And that they've been in NXT for a very long time. They've really hit their stride, and I think they would be a great addition to the main roster and to that tag team division. That tag team division is finally starting to get a decent number of teams. I mean, back when the Usos were the champions, there were only a handful of teams, and now there's more. I mean, you've got the Primetime Players, the New Day, Los Matadores, who I still have a hard time taking seriously, Lucha Dragons, the Ascension, who I also have a hard time taking seriously, and so you've got those 5 teams. You bring in Enzo and Cass, and that's a 6th team. And they could really honestly use some more teams. Maybe also bring up the Vaudevillains. The tag team division needs something else going on with it, because there's some fantastic talent in there, and they really need to up the ante and make it something that people really want to see. So that is that's NXT for this week. Going back to some stories that we had. Speaking of NXT, there was over on the Bleacher Report, there is a story titled "Is Top NXT Talent Being Wasted on WWE Roster?" And the story talks specifically about Kevin Owens, Bo Dallas, Kalisto, and Neville. And in the story, they mentioned that Neville, of the 3 of the 4, is right now is actually doing pretty well for himself. His win-loss record might not be that great, but look at the matches he's had, who he's gone against, and how far he's pushed them. It kind of makes a lot of sense. It really does. And Kevin Owens, they said, has shown bits of his greatness, but has also been pushed down. Kalisto has gotten lost in poor booking in the tag division, which I completely agree with. And Bo Dallas, I just don't know what to do with. You'd also want to throw in maybe Adam Rose in there, because if you think about the people that have come from NXT, the only ones that have done really, really well are Paige, now the other divas that have come up, but the Shield and the Wyatt family are the only ones that have done really well. Cesaro is starting to get there. Adam Rose is just not there. Kevin Owens is getting there. I think he's gonna, in the long run, gonna be fine, especially once people like Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon are no longer pulling the strings. Neville is actually having a pretty darn good run right now. The crowd is really into him, and he's having great matches. Bo Dallas needs to go and be part of the Wyatt family. His character does not need to change at all, but he needs to be in the Wyatt family. I think that would be brilliant. And Kalisto is going to do fine in the long run. The tag team division just needs some better booking, really. There was one other... So there are a couple other like main roster stories I wanted to talk about before we get into... Well, let's go ahead and get into Raw. Where did I start my notes on that? So Raw this week starts out with a Seth Rollins in-ring promo. He was bitching about John Cena not having responded to his challenge. It just went on way too damn long. And then they put a picture of Cena up on there on the Titantron with what I'm pretty sure was Seth Rollins mouthing the words. So here's my note when this comes out. Oh, Jesus, this is dumb. And it was dumb. It is. Then my next note is, holy shit, this is awful. Cesaro comes out and interrupts, thank God. He has a great pop. And Cesaro does his whole, you're going on and on and on and on and on and on. And someone had printed out these signs that say Cesaro section. They were on Raw, they were on SmackDown, tons of them. Kevin Owens then comes out and says Cesaro hasn't done anything to deserve a title shot. Cesaro came out and said, look, man, I want a title shot. Talking about the open challenge thing, and Rollins like, man, that was a 1-week deal. You're not giving a challenge tonight. You suck. Kevin Owens comes out and says Cesaro hasn't done anything to deserve a title shot, but Owens does. Randy Orton comes out and makes a fat joke, which was just terrible, but I love how Owens responded to it, and Owens just says no. And people apparently lost their shit over that. I'm not sure whose idea it was for Orton to say that, but it was pretty dumb. And Orton says he deserves a title shot. Rollins says he doesn't care what anyone else, including the Authority, thinks. No one's getting a title shot tonight. Triple H comes out, telling Rollins, interesting choice of words. You don't care what the Authority thinks. Rollins backsteps. So then Triple H sets up a triple threat match between Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. The winner will face Seth Rollins in the main event for the WWE title tonight. Crowd went nuts. Rollins was pissed. It was cool. We then had Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina versus Nikki, Bella, Brie Bella, and Alicia Fox. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Paige were on commentary, though Paige did most of the talking. There's a great moment. There's a really loud "We Want Sasha" chants. All of the PCB crowd talked up Sasha. Brie was hella over. I mean, they're in a suburb of Seattle. So Brie was doing her best Daniel Bryan impressions, and the place was going apeshit. Team Bella got the win when Brie rolled up Tamina. A brawl ensued after with All Night Women. There was a nice moment where Charlotte and Sasha had a stare down, and it was pretty good stuff. It was the only Divas section this week, which was kind of sad, but it was good. Especially the Charlotte Sasha stare down. It was really good. They showed a shot of Stephen Amell, Mr. Green Arrow, and ringside. We'll get more to him later. The New Day and Los Matadores had a match. When New Day comes out to the ring, Kofi Kingston is so over the top with his clapping and dancing. It is freaking hilarious. They showed a shot of the Primetime Players backstage, watching a monitor, taking notes. New Day got the win. Big E was doing these. His dancing was awesome. There's a great meme going around it's that picture of those those kids in Africa who are like in nothing but either underwear or diapers doing these crazy dancing, and it says something like from the top to the bottom, and then underneath it is a still picture from Raw with the three of them dancing, and Big E's dancing is just freaking hilarious. I love the New Day. We then had a New Day backstage interview with Renee Young. It was really freaking funny. Then that moved over to Seth Rollins and Triple H backstage. Rollins having a conniption. Triple H tells him, hey, you have to, if you want to be considered great, you have to defend this thing all the time, each and every night. Replay of Roman Reigns' challenge to Bray Wyatt and Wyatt accepting. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper at SummerSlam. So that's going to be fun. We then had the match of the night, Cesaro versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, with the winner getting a title shot later that night. Some pretty good, there was a nice fight, Owens fight, chant. There was a great spot where Cesaro and Randy Orton did a superplex to Kevin Owens. That was really good. And there was a great moment where Cesaro and Orton were exchanging uppercuts, and every time Cesaro hit the uppercut, the crowd did the yay chant, and whenever Orton hit, they did the boo. Really, the crowd was into all three of these guys. It was a lot of fun. The ending of the match was fantastic. So Owen, well, at one point, God, how did he do it? Oh, there was a sunset flip. Shit, no, what happened? There was something that Cesaro reversed into a sharpshooter. I think it was a sunset flip into a sharpshooter. It was just incredible, and the crowd went just nuts for it. But the ending is a great freaking moment. So Kevin Owens throws Cesaro to the ropes, goes for the pop-up powerbomb. Cesaro jumps over Owens. Orton hits the ring, hits Owens with an RKO out of nowhere. Cesaro turns around, gets hit with his own RKO. Orton gets the win. Fan-fucking-tastic match. There was then a Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns backstage promo. These guys are awesome together. I really hope they don't break them up. Video package about the Brock Lesnar Undertaker feud wasn't bad. I'm looking forward to that match, and I love when Brock Lesnar is around. He's great, but I tend to zone out in some of these video packages because it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and I get kind of tired of it. We then have Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper. And I really, and this is something I wrote down during this match, I really hope that they do not turn Ambrose heel. It was funny. Roman Reigns, who joined Ambrose at ringside, got a separate entrance. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't you just come down to the ring with Ambrose? Then, Harper and Bray Wyatt come out, and as they come to the ring, Harper grabs Byron Saxton's chair, and Wyatt sits down in it. And at some point during the match, there's this chant erupts of "Sit down, Byron." So funny, so freaking funny. This crowd was awesome. This crowd made this show so much better. What then happened? What's in backstage? There was the ending was Ambrose was on the top rope. Wyatt grabbed the rope, so Ambrose fell. Then Luke Harper hit him with the discus clothesline and got the win. Really good match. Just really fun. There was lots of good stuff in there. There was a great moment where Roman Reigns hit Bray Wyatt with a Superman punch outside the ring. The whole thing was fun. We then have Miz TV with Daniel Bryan. Miz makes a barb at Stephen Amell, which was kind of sad. Bryan is still just unbelievably freaking over, and it's in his home state, so of course they're going to be going berserk for Daniel Bryan. Bryan called Miz out in his BS, which was great. Miz likes to try to take credit for Bryan's success, and it just Bryan was like, "No, you didn't do that." Big Show came out, and then Ryback came out, and it, you know, there was so Ryback comes out, Miz and Bryan leave the ring. Bryan throws Miz back into the ring in between Ryback and Big Show. There's a bit of a brawl at the end of it. Ryback is standing tall with Bryan in the ring. Not a bad little segment. They really need to do something, though, with the Intercontinental title, because it is just, the poor thing is just not doing much. And there's a story. We're going to, in fact, let's pause here. Let's talk about this right now. So over on, where was it? It was looking through my notes. SEScoops.com had, nope, not there. RingsideNews.com. And they had a story entitled, "Should WWE Change Up What Belts It Uses?" And they talked in there about basically getting rid of the Intercontinental title. Doing introducing some new title, and then eventually having the IC title merge with it. And the way here's my thing with the Intercontinental title is hurting. I don't know if they really need to get rid of it, because the Intercontinental title is a huge part of what WWE is. It's such a big history, but I also don't think they need to get rid of the U.S. title. They need to have these two, undercard mid-card, undercard titles, and depending on who's wearing what, you could have where one is slightly higher than the other, but they need to both be positioned as these are stepping stones to becoming main eventers and going for the world title. And that's not the way they've been used. Back in the day when Jim Crockett was before it got bought out by Turner, before it became WCW, they had their three singles titles: the world title, the U.S. title, and the world TV title. And all three were held in great esteem, and you went from, each title was a stepping stone to the world title. And I think that is what they need to do in WWE with these two titles. And have one be slightly more prestigious than the other one, and that's fine. Have it be the Intercontinental title. I don't want to see the U.S. title go away, because it's the last kind of vestige of the old NWA of WCW. It's the last thing we've got of theirs, and that needs to stick around. And as of right now, if you're going to talk about, well, which title is more prestigious, which one are we going to get rid of, which one are we going to keep, it's the U.S. title is by far more prestigious than the Intercontinental title. No one gives two shits about the Intercontinental title right now, but that U.S. title, thanks to John Cena and that U.S. title Open Challenge, that is a desired belt, and that's a belt people enjoy seeing, and that is something they need to keep around. I do think they need to change the Divas title. They need to get rid of that belt, because that thing is ass ugly, and they need to change it to the WWE Women's Championship. TNA likes to call their ladies knockouts. WWE's called them divas. They could still call it the Divas division like they do in NXT, but it needs to be called the Women's Championship. Get a new belt, something better. The article also talked about NXT, and basically mentioned leaving the NXT belt itself alone. And a lot of this article talked about the physical belts themselves. I'm overall pretty happy with most of the physical belts. I love the Intercontinental title, the belt itself. It's the classic title that they need to keep that. The World Championship is fine. The U.S. title, I'd rather see them go back to the old WCW U.S. title, but that's just me, and that's probably some of my WCW bias coming in there. They talked about in NXT keeping, not changing anything with the NXT title because it's so unique. The one thing I would say in NXT, and even though right now the roster is pretty thin because so many people have been called up, I think NXT needs a secondary title. I like secondary titles because I think it gives a stepping stone, like a pecking order, to to your not your brand, to your roster, to your federation. Ring of Honor has their world title and then the world television title, and I think NXT needs to bring in a title, and I would call it the television title or the network title, and have it be the secondary title, and that title needs to belong to Tyler Breeze. If they're not planning on bringing him up to the main roster anytime soon, then you put that title on him and you keep it on him for over a year. You have him, he needs to hold that for a long time. Now, during that time, he can challenge for the NXT title, never quite make it, and eventually you could have it where he does win the NXT title, he holds both, and he relinquishes the network or the TV title, whatever you call it, and is then the NXT champion. I think that would be a great way to do that. But yeah, I'm all for secondary titles. I was against the idea of merging the world title and the WWE title back when they did it, but in hindsight, I'm glad they did. So back to Raw, we then had a video package about Charlotte, says she wants to headline WrestleMania someday. I would love to see that. A 3-team Diva elimination match has been added to SummerSlam. That's going to be awesome. We then have Rusev versus Mark Henry with Lana on commentary. Lana sucks at commentary. She's just fucking awful. This was boring as hell. It just was. I'm just not even going to talk about it. It was fucking awful. Sucked. Summer Rae sucks. Needs to be fired. Get rid of the bitch. No offense to her. That was harsh. She has no redeeming qualities. Lana is not doing all that great right now. Rusev is just floundering. It's awful. There was a nice Neville video package about talked about his match against Rollins from last week, and Stardust talking crazy. We then have King Barrett versus Neville. Neville got the win relatively easily. Stardust attacked Neville after the fact, and then Stardust gets out of the ring, gets into Stephen Amell's face. He then shoves Stephen Amell's face, palms his face, at which point, and Amell is a great actor. He is a huge WWE fan, and he's a hell of an athlete. He vaults over the ring, or the barricade, jumps up to the ring, vaults over the top rope, and takes down Stardust and starts wailing him with elbows. He looked just like a natural in the ring. And Michael Cole's, oh, he shouldn't do that. He shouldn't have done that. I loved it. And eventually the security comes out, they pull him off. It was fantastic. We then had a nice ad for NXT, which was great. And then we've got Stephen Amell and Neville backstage with Triple H. Triple H is like, Amell, brought you here to be not a participant. You were here as a guest. And Amell's like, look, let us handle Stardust and Barrett. And there's a pretty heated exchange between the two. And what's great is Stephen Amell, even though he's not a small guy, he's definitely shorter than Triple H. He doesn't take Triple H's shit, man. He just gets kind of right up in the guy's face. And so they set a match for SummerSlam. Neville and Amell against Barrett and Stardust. I'm looking forward to it. There was a god-fucking awful Sheamus backstage interview. Just sucked ass. Then we had Orton and Rollins for the WWE title. It was a good match. DQ at the end. Orton just hit a picture-perfect RKO when Rollins went off the top rope for something. And Orton was just about to win. Sheamus came out, pulled Orton off of Rollins, DQ. Sheamus then bro-kicked Rollins. He tried to cash in Money in the Bank, and the ref was looking at him like, what are you talking about? And so it never happened. Orton came in with an RKO. Not bad. Not the best match. The best match was easily that triple threat match. Then SmackDown this week, And I'm not going through all of it because all of it wasn't worth going through. And, it's funny. I when I watch SmackDown, I don't really take notes except on the sections I think are worth talking about. But overall, I kind of enjoy SmackDown more. And I know it's the B show, and you can definitely tell that. But they really showcase people, newer people, in much better ways. So, for example, the show opens up with another Seth Rollins in-ring promo. Neville interrupts him doing the "you're going on and on and on" thing. Cesaro comes out. When it was great when Cesaro's music hits, you see Seth get all frustrated in his mouth. Oh, what the fuck! It was hilarious. Cesaro even makes a comment about the Cesaro section, saying "you're going on and on and on." Kevin Owens attacks Cesaro on the ramp. Rollins attacks Neville. Brawl ensues, and that sets up then the main event for the night, which is Neville and Cesaro against Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. There was some great stuff with New Day. I can't even remember what it was. All I know is I watched it and I smiled the whole time. I love the New Day. I say it every week. New Day makes me smile. And just about every week in my graphics that I put together for the shows, there's always a picture of New Day in there somewhere. And there's always at least one picture of Cesaro, generally speaking. We talk about my favorite people right now in wrestling, in WWE. I think my two favorite are Cesaro and the New Day. They're the two I enjoy watching the most. I enjoy Neville. I enjoy Owens. I enjoy Seth Rollins in ring work. His promos at the beginning of the show are getting really old. And I enjoy the Primetime Players. Excuse me, but Cesaro really is the fucking man. The main event, Cesaro and Neville versus Owens and Rollins. This is the kind of main event I think that we need to be having more often. All four guys super fucking over. Rollins and Owens got the win with Rollins did a roll up on Cesaro with a handful of tights. Maybe this was the match that I can't remember. He had basically the end was Cesaro had Rollins, I think, in a sharpshooter. Owens hits the ring. He goes to put Owens in the Cesaro swing. Rollins rolls him up, grabs the tights, gets the win. After the match, Rollins bolts, and then there is a little brawl with Cesaro and Neville against Owens, which ends with Neville hitting the red arrow, and the place was super fucking over. There was a picture on the WWE website, which I put in my graphic this week, which someone had a "Get Well Soon Tyson" sign, and there's a picture of Cesaro holding it. There was another picture of Cesaro in the crowd with the audience. I love it, man. Cesaro is just the fucking man, which brings us to another story from this week. This one was over on Bleacher Report. It's Ryan Dilbert's 10 count. And the headline is "Cesaro will be WWE's next Daniel Bryan." And it says the headline for it, the inside headline in the story is "Cesaro section growing." And it talks about how the fans made Daniel Bryan a star, and how the fans are going to make Cesaro a main event star. And I think it's spot on. The way they've been booking Cesaro, they've been booking him in really good matches. He might not win them all, but he always looks strong. He always looks good. And the crowds are really getting behind him. And I think I completely agree. I think he is going to be the next Daniel Bryan. He might not be maybe quite as over or popular as Bryan was at his height. But I think this guy is definitely a main eventer. He's certainly a future world champion. He can go out there and have matches, great fucking matches with anyone. You can put him in the ring with a paper doll and a tissue, and it will be the best match of the damn night. He is that freaking good. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Cesaro going forward. Because he's just the fucking man, and I enjoy the hell out of him. Let's see. Before we get into SummerSlam predictions, there was one other story. I found this one on CagesideSeats.com. Ric Flair names his 2015 version of the Four Horsemen. And so Flair laid down, this is, if he was going to put together a new version of the Horsemen, it would be Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Cesaro. I like everyone in that except The Miz. I'm just not a fan of The Miz. Flair's been a huge fan of Ziggler for years. He's actually he's lobbied to manage Ziggler, which I think would be great. If I was going to put together a kind of modern day Four Horsemen, I would actually kind of go with the NXT 5. I would do something with Cesaro. Well, I would do like Cesaro, Finn Balor, Neville, and Kevin Owens. I would do something like that, or Cesaro, or you could even, if you're going to do it heels, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. Then you bring in maybe Tyler Breeze and not sure who the fourth one could be. Maybe even Dean Ambrose. There's lots of possibilities. I think Ziggler is a good one. I don't see any value in The Miz anymore. Miz TV is really good. I enjoy Miz TV. He's good at that. But I don't see a whole lot of value in The Miz. So that is that. Let's get on to SummerSlam predictions, and then we're going to do our Song of the Week and get the hell out of here. So, SummerSlam, as of today, this taping, we're going to have Team Bella versus Team Bad versus Team PCB in an elimination tag team triple threat match. So as one person from a team gets pinned or submits, then the whole team goes bye-bye. I'm going with Team Bad on this. Specifically, I think Sasha Banks walks out as the winner. We then have Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. I think Cesaro is going to get the win here. And this is, as I'm conflicted on this feud, because I'm really looking forward to it, and these guys obviously work extremely well together. But I don't want either of them to lose, because I love them both. But I'm going with Cesaro, because Cesaro's on a really, really big streak right now. Tons of momentum. And I think Kevin Owens is the kind of guy to really help project his momentum. They're going to do great stuff together. We've then got Stephen Amell and Neville versus Stardust and King Barrett. Stephen Amell apparently had an injury during training. I'm looking forward to this. Being a huge fan of the show Arrow and The Flash, I am really looking forward to this. I think Amell's going to do really well. His stuff on Raw was fantastic. The best, I think, like celebrity guest segments I've ever seen. Just fantastic. So I'm thinking, Amell and Neville are going to get the win there. Then we've got the Primetime Players in a fatal four-way tag match for the tag titles. Primetime Players versus New Day versus Los Matadores versus the Lucha Dragons. I'm thinking New Day here. I mean, Lucha Dragons could pull it out, but I'm thinking New Day. And we could see some shenanigans with Xavier Woods, but I'd like to see the belts back on the New Day. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. I'm thinking that I'm going with Wyatt and Harper on this. There's a lot of rumblings and rumors that Ambrose is going to turn heel. I really hope that is not the case. I think he and Reigns work really, really well together. This whole Shield Wyatt family feud 2.0, I think this is just the beginning. All four of these guys work exceptionally well together, and I think the fans are enjoying the hell out of it. I know I'm enjoying the fudgesicle out of what's going on with these four. So I think Harper and Wyatt get the win, and it's just, we'll go on and we'll get more of it. We then have Ryback versus The Big Show versus The Miz for the IC title. I think Ryback's going to win because absolutely no one wants to see the Intercontinental title on either The Miz or The Big Show. Then we've got Seth Rollins versus John Cena, title for title, WWE World Heavyweight Championship and the United States Championship. This is going to be a fuck finish, or a no finish. I cannot see them putting both of these belts on one person. Plus, there are a lot of rumors that the Cena-Rollins feud is going to go on for it's a long-term thing. Also, Cena has just recently had a new shirt that has come out that says 15-time champion. Why would they put out a shirt if they're about to put his 16th championship on him? And that's also something they really haven't talked about. So, yeah, I'm going fuck finish, no winner. Then we have The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, the match, quote-unquote, too big for WrestleMania. I honestly have no idea on this one. Lesnar winning is the only thing that makes any sense, but who knows? I really don't know. I just don't know. So that's that on the wrestling for this week. And so let's jump to our song of the week. Well, actually, before we do that, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you can hit me up. Send me an email. I just forgot what the goddamn email address is. aroundtheringok@gmail.com. That's aroundtheringok@gmail.com. You can also follow us on the social medias. We have pages on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. The handle on all of them, Around the Ring OK. And don't forget also our homepage, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. And don't forget to check us out on Stitcher and TuneIn Radios. If you happen to listen to us there, it would be awesome if you could give us a rating, thumbs up, something. That would be super cool. And so, one quick second. So, Song of the Week. So let's get into that real quick, and then let's get out of here. It's Monday. We all got stuff to do. So thank you again, as always, for listening, by the way. Song of the Week this week comes from the band Beach Slang. These guys are from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The singer/guitarist James Alex was the singer in the band Weston in the 90s. They were a pop-punk band. Beach Slang really hit the scene last year, and they put out 2 EPs, which are phenomenal. The one of which was my favorite album of the year last year. Who could ever love anything so broken? Is that the name of it? Holy shit, I forgot already. One moment. My brain's just not working today, I tell you what. Who would ever want anything so broken? That's the full proper title of it. And then they followed that up with Cheap Thrills on a Dead End Street. They also had a song on a 4-way split called Strength is Weakness. They did a cover of Psychedelic Furs, Love My Way. They were on NPR's Tiny Desk Concerts. And their latest song, Bad Art and Weirdo Ideas, brand new single that they've just put out. It's from their upcoming album, their full-length debut, The Things We Do to Find People Who Feel Like Us, which is coming out in October. It is by far my most anticipated record of the year. As much as I've been looking forward to that Frank Turner record that we talked about last week, which I've loved, and as much as I'm also looking forward to the new Northcote album and the new Two Cow Garage album, this record right here, I've been just almost salivating, waiting for. Cannot wait. This band has a sound that it's really kind of it's kind of like the Goo Goo Dolls. I mean, and now when I say that, I'm talking like 93, 94, 95 era, Boy Named Goo, Superstar Car Wash era Goo Goo Dolls. Which is, the Goo Goo Dolls were always said, these guys are like, kind of like the Replacements. And Beach Slang has a sound that is very much Goo Goo Dolls meets Jawbreaker meets early 90s, or early to mid 80s, post-punk college rock a la Joy Division, Psychedelic Furs, Echo and the Bunnymen. and it's a phenomenal fucking mix, and I cannot wait at all to hear this record. This song, Bad Art and Weirdo Ideas, is killer. It's just fantastic. It's the song of the week. We're going to play it as we go out, and thank you again, as always, for listening. I appreciate it, my faithful 40, those of you guys who check us out each and every week. Don't forget to hit up Kings of Wrestling Radio, kowradio.weebly.com. My show, this one right here, it's on Tuesday nights after Tough Enough, but otherwise, tons of great shows on there. You got to check it out. As Jerry Springer always says, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever fucked before.
What? It's for charity.